Welcome back to my channel. I am Harshi and I teach and preach art for living. Today we will be recreating this beautiful stunning masterpiece by Van Gogh, and I'm going to teach you how to recreate it at the comfort of your home in 5 easy steps. The color that I'll be using in this tutorial is my Himi Gouache paint that I have been using for past 3 years, but you can use any of the gouache paints and you can even use acrylic paints for this tutorial. This painting is called The Spring of Flowering Almond in a Glass, and it was painted by Vincent van Gogh. This is a really simple yet beautiful painting which symbolizes celebration of new life and the beauty of beginning of the spring season. It is a still life painted in classic Van Gogh style of post-impressionism, and we're gonna recreate it together step by step. If you're painting with gouache paint, start by spraying your entire palette with water. And then for the first step, we will be mixing a very light nude color by mixing the skin tone and white color together. This is going to be the shade that you will be aiming for. Make sure you add enough water so your color feels like a melted ice cream. And then using a flat brush, you are going to make perpendicular strokes like this and cover the entire surface. Don't worry too much about attaining the flat surface. You need to see a little bit of brush stroke to add more character to your painting. You cannot go wrong with this step even if you try to. So just sit back, relax, add that color all over your surface and then allow it to dry completely. And if you're impatient like me, you can even use a dryer to expedite the drying time. Now that your base is complete, we're gonna add some lines for our reference. For this, you will be using a very small detailing brush and white color. The first thing is going to be a line right across the page, dividing your painting into two parts, which is going to be the wall on the top and probably the table which the glass is sitting on the bottom. Make sure that all the lines that you're drawing at this moment are very faded. They're just for your reference and you won't be able to see much of them by the end of the painting. Now moving on to the jar, we will first create an oval sitting on top of the line that we just created. And to ensure that my proportions are correct, I always draw the dots on all the four sides before I draw the main shape. Now once you have that, you will add two parallel lines on either side of the oval to add the body of the glass. And then we will draw another oval right below the one that we just created to indicate the water level. Remember that both the ovals are identical, touching at the center line of the painting. Finally, draw a half oval on the bottom to represent the bottom of the jar. And now that we have the jar, we will mix a very pale green color to create the stem. With a very light hand and by using just the tip of your brush, start adding one little stroke at a time. Keep referring back to the original picture and add one little stroke and one little stem at a time. Don't rush and take your time doing this. If you look closely, all the shapes are very simple and there is no outline as such. To harmonize all of my color, instead of using white to make them lighter, I am using the same light nude color that we used in the background. And once you have all the shapes of the stem in place, you will start adding textures on top of the stems and also start to introduce the flowers and the leaves. Now I'm going to speed up the whole process of how I painted the flowers and the stem, but please feel free to hit pause, download the reference image from the descriptions and work on one flower at a time. Just think of these flowers as mere shapes and swabs of different colors together and work on one little area at a time. Also, don't forget to clean your brush thoroughly in between changing the colors. Till now, all the colors that we used were largely on the pastel or light side, but now we will balance out the painting by adding a little drama of red and brown together. Your eyes immediately goes to that red line on the wall, and also how Van Gogh signed his painting with the same color on the top of the painting. Carefully paint the line across the painting, making sure that you avoid all of the flowers and their petals in between, as dark colors are a little difficult to paint over. Also, while you're painting the line, also add your signature. The top left corner, just like Van Gogh. Now congratulations, because we are almost done with the painting and everything that is remaining is just pure fun. Now what we're going to do is add some colors into the background. To do that, we are going to mix a very light blue color by mixing 5 parts of white with only 1 part of acid blue color. As you can see in my palette, my white is pretty much destroyed and almost over, so I always carry this white refill from Himi, which is amazing. Using a flat brush, you will be taking this blue color and putting putting it on where the wall is supposed to be. Paint with this long horizontal strokes while you're avoiding the jar, the stems and all of the flowers. A complete coverage of this color is not the most important in this step. If the color from the background peeps through, it's a good thing. You will also be painting over the white line that we first drew. That line was just for our reference and we don't need it anymore. And now we will start working on the jar. For this, you will be switching to your tinier brush and start adding horizontal lines all over the jar to represent the patterns and shadows falling upon it. You can even use your finger to smudge the color a little bit so it looks more faded. And talking about the shadows, you will also be adding the shadow that will be falling upon the table from the jar. Continue to add parallel lines all around just like this. Also notice how the lines on top of the jar are not just blue, they are also white in color. So identify those blue and white areas and add the strokes on top of it. With that, our jar is complete and now we are only left with the tablecloth on top of the table. For this, we're going to mix a very light yellow color. And then using our flat brush, we are going to make diagonal lines like this, which are parallel to each other all over the ground. These lines also add the perspective to our otherwise flat painting. I really love how these light colors interact with each other. And the lightest color of them all, white, plays a really beautiful role in the entire painting. And so just like we did in the jar, we will add some white strokes all over our ground as well. You will also be adding few white and yellow strokes in between the shadow because as you can see, our jar is completely transparent. So a little bit of this color will be coming through. And now that you have painted this beautiful painting using the colors of the Van Gogh, go outside the box and try different colors as you use a similar simple technique. Van Gogh had a very beautiful superpower to make everything simple and yet retain their beauty. And now that you are a bit more familiar with this style, you can even set up your own subject and paint it as you like. Just remember that less colors actually can be more. And also to not take this process too seriously. Simply look, feel and create. On one hand, it is just a jar of water with a branch of almond blossom in it. But if you look closely, these objects will give you happiness and hope, a sense of belonging and accomplishment. And this is the power of art, and thank you so much for making it with me. If you like this art session, you can check my other videos for your next. I love to hear back from you guys, so if you have any critique or any suggestions, please leave them in the comments and help me make my videos better so I can deliver better tutorials every single time. I'm not the biggest fan of asking people to subscribe, but it does help a lot. So please go ahead and do that, and thank you again for watching this video till the very end. Bye and have a wonderful day.